Harrisburg, we're in a crisis.
Harrisburg, Central PA, and America in crisis.
It's the most addictive drug we've seen. There's nothing else like it.
Stop pushing this poison. It kills. It ruins lives.
The poison responsible for nearly 80% of overdose deaths in PA.
We know that fentanyl is a nearly invisible poison, and that many people who take it have no idea they are taking it.
Now the poison spreads through the heart of Central PA, with organizations working to find a cure for the population permanently.
We need to go after the transnational criminal organizations
and put tough sanctions on China for sending us the precursor chemicals.
Please lose the stigma. Addiction is a medical disease.
We look at the potential solutions for our community. Central PA leaders talk about how we stem the tide. And now, a CBS 21 News special town hall, Addicted America, sponsored by CTC Comprehensive Treatment Centers.
Thank you so much for being here, everybody. Welcome to our CBS 21 Addicted America Town Hall. I'm Joel D. Smith. Overdose deaths hit a fever pitch in Central PA after a recent spike where more than a dozen people died in Harrisburg. We brought together a panel. They are experts. We're taking a closer look at the response to this crisis all across our region. They are Billy Barton, Deputy Director of the York Adams Drug and Alcohol Commission. We have Harrisburg Police Commissioner Thomas Carter here with us right now. And we also have Mary Barkle. She is a Regional Director with Comprehensive Treatment Centers. So glad that you folks are here. We got a lot to get to. Here's my first one. Give me some examples of how things may have changed over the past couple of years when we're talking about the root increase that we've seen with the drug problem here in this area. Let's just start with you, Billy.
Well, in our agency, we have put some things into place to help individuals seek treatment, make it easier for them. We've provided transportation services, housing services. We're getting Narcan out there into the hands of all of those who need it. Those are just some of the things that we're doing.
Commissioner, what in the last couple years, when you've seen this increase on the streets, what have you guys been trying to do to work with that?
We've been trying to work with different agencies, working with people. Our biggest problem, pandemic really messed things up with the depression that it caused out there for different people. More and more people started turning to drugs. A lot of them, they were already using drugs, and then they were looking for something stronger. So, right now we're in a crisis state. We have overdoses going on every day, and they've been going on. And so my officers respond to that, and we try our best to administer the Narcan in a timely manner. At one time, one dose would be good enough. Now we had to hit them, 3 and 4 different times.
And that comes to the fentanyl part of this.
Yes.
As we get to Mary, is that what you've seen as well? This fentanyl has been the game changer the last couple of years?
Absolutely. It's really been a barrier for a lot of individuals in treatment and getting to a stable dose so that they're able to feel better. So it's made it more difficult to treat them.
Within the past couple of years, has that changed the way you try to treat this? Because you got to have a different strategy to meet the different culprit you're going against.
Yeah, our doctors definitely have to reevaluate and adjust how they would normally prescribe, because it's not as effective as it was several years ago when we were just dealing with heroin.
Yeah, that's just a starting point for us here. We're going to get to the specifics in just a bit. Before we go any further, though, we want to give you a closer look right now at the numbers and the toll the opioid crisis has right now here in Pennsylvania. Pills, drugs, opiates, responsible for the deaths of thousands of Pennsylvanians. In the most recent report from the Department of Health last year, more than 5,100 people died from an overdose in PA. On average, that's 14 overdose deaths a day. When you look deeper, more than half of those overdoses, 54%, happen at a person's home. The spots with the most overdoses include Philadelphia and Allegheny counties, more than 2,100 between those two, adding up to 41% of all cases statewide in 2022. But this is far from just a city issue. When you look at the rates of deadly overdoses, there are a number of rural counties at the top of that list. Lawrence County has the highest overdose rate per 10,000 people. Second, Philadelphia. Third, Cambria. Fourth, Montour. And then fifth, Fayette. It's not all bad news. The Department of Health says deadly overdoses are on the decline slightly. down 4% from the year before. So we invited the state's Department of Drug and Alcohol to be a part of this town hall as well. They were not able to join us, but they did provide a statement on how the administration, in part, is responding to all this. Here's part of their quote. Governor Shapiro, through the Department of Health, took action to limit the illicit use of xylazine to protect communities across the Commonwealth from xylazine's devastating effects. The Department of Health's temporary scheduling of xylazine preserves the legitimate use of the drug by veterinarians and farmers, livestock, and other animals. So it's moving it to a Schedule III drug as well. So we wanted to talk more about this and what that means. I want to go right to you first, Commissioner. Changing it to a Schedule III. This would change the punishments if someone is found using and having this. The question is, in your experience, is that the kind of thing that deters folks from breaking crimes when they know that there is a harsher punishment?
No, it isn't. I think that changing it from a Schedule II to a Schedule III is a good thing, but the answer is to try to get them treatment. I think, that the main thing is treatment, because people aren't going to stop doing what they're doing in order, to take drugs. They're going to take drugs because it's calling them, as they say.
Yeah.
It's just calling them.
Mary, do you agree with that?
Absolutely. When someone's actively in addiction, that takes over. It's a necessity. It's no longer a choice. Individuals are compelled to do that. So regardless of what changes are made in the law and the legal system, people are still going to do what they need to do so they're not sick.
You get the idea that they want to do something, to change something, feel like there's something on the legal side that may impact things. Is there anything on the legal side, or are we talking about more the resources on your side, Billy, when they come to you, that could be a better way to help?
I do believe that the legal system does help deter in some cases, but we are there to help any individual with whatever circumstances they're in. Our goal is to remove barriers and gaps to treatment and get everybody who wants to engage in treatment, that treatment. So that's our focus.
When we're talking about xylazine, which is part of this topic here, what's existing already? What can you guys do specifically with that drug?
Well, right now we're learning more about it. We're learning how to treat it. I think it's very difficult to treat xylazine in a regular treatment setting. So we're still learning more about it.
What about test strips? We've heard about fentanyl test strips, xylazine test strips. Can that be an option?
It can be an option. We're not there yet, but we are getting fentanyl strips and testing fentanyl so that people can avoid potential overdose and death.
Mary, when it comes to people using fentanyl test strips or xylazine test strips potentially, have you found that folks would actually use that if they had it as an option?
Sure. Individuals who are in our treatment programs, they are handed out to them, and people do want to be safe. Nobody wants to die. Nobody goes out there saying, I want to die if they use, but the reality is it's in there, they know it's there, and it's scary. So yes, I think if they have as many tools available to them to be safer, that they're going to make that choice.
Commissioner, have you had to change any of your policies when you're talking to your officers? Like, hey, there's a new one out there. This one's rough, fentanyl's rough, xylazine's rough. When you go out there, be ready for this or be ready for that. I know you can't cover everything, but if you change maybe the thought process going into some of these situations. Right
now, we're focusing on officers just being safe, because when we respond to these overdoses, we don't know what all they're taking and what's going on with them. And fentanyl is very deadly. Airborne fentanyl was deadly. The xylazine is a tranquilizer, and that's also deadly. And so, we're just being careful. It's scary to go to most of these overdoses and to see, what people are using, And my thing is that, the fentanyl test strips and, that stuff is good. But I think, that the best practice is just to warn people, don't do it.
And is that
do it.
Is that part of the police job as well? We know it's not just about enforcing the laws. You guys talk to these people. You talk to young folks. You try to deter, tell them the right way. Is that part of this as well? Saying, hey, if you're going to get into drugs, these aren't safe drugs. You could die tomorrow because of this.
Right. And we do that. But the scary thing right now is that the overdoses that we've been seeing is that they're older people who have not been taking drugs in like years, and all of a sudden, you know, they get back on the bandwagon and they try this stuff, and it's not the same from like 20 years ago, because they had fentanyl back then, but it wasn't mixed in with cocaine and stuff like that. So they take one little hit of it, and their heart just stops. You know, they're just gone. You know,
They weren't.
it's that powerful. You know, and they're not expecting that. You
Right.
know.
So Billy, how do you communicate some of those ideas to maybe the older community, the people that are up 50 and above? I think that was that last group that unfortunately overdosed in Harrisburg. Everybody was between 50 and 70, I believe. So do you have to factor that in and maybe change the messaging a little bit?
I don't know that we've necessarily changed our messaging, but we do, I mean, the populations that we're working with right now aren't the older populations. We're working with 18 to 25 to, you know, 30, 40-year-olds. But I would say that the messaging we would want to get across is, at least to police officers and community agencies, is that treatment's available for anyone who can't afford it on their own. You know, we think about the police departments out there, and they're trying to help people, and they're getting worn out from repeating the same things with the same individuals. And, you know, we would just say to them to be prepared, to give them whatever they need, resources to get to treatment. That's.
When we're talking treatment, Mary, I know the problem. We did something like this recently with the mental health crisis. And if you decide today, I have some issues I want to address, I want to go into treatment when it's for mental health, it may take 4 months to actually see somebody. What's our time span now if somebody decided today, maybe they watch this and they're getting scared and they're thinking, you know what, I do need help. When can they get treatment?
Well, in terms of our treatment centers, our comprehensive treatment centers, we offer same day. So it's walk-in. Our Harrisburg location does after-hours walk-in admissions. So anybody seeking treatment to any one of our 3 sites, Mechanicsburg, Lebanon, or Harrisburg, can walk in up until 4:30 p.m. for same-day admission. We'll see them same day by our doctor, by our staff, get them medicated, and get them into treatment right away.
What are some obstacles to that? Is it finances? Is it transportation? What have you seen for some of those people that may be seeking some help, but it's tough?
It can be any or all of those things. One of the biggest issues recently is, since the ending of the public health emergency, Medicaid redetermination. So a lot of individuals that were covered by Medicaid before are no longer covered. So being able to pay for treatment. And then transportation has always also traditionally been an issue for many people.
Want to add to that?
Sure. In our county, we are getting people into at least detox or inpatient services pretty quickly, within a week. Outpatient services has been a little bit more difficult in getting people in right away because of the lack of staffing, which has been a problem across the state. I would also say that, Mary mentioned transportation services being a barrier. I've worked in the field for over 20 years, and transportation has definitely been a huge barrier for people, but we are slowly removing that. Our agency provides free transportation services to individuals seeking treatment and or recovery. I mean, we're even paying for people to go to grocery store, whatever recovery supports they need, go see their sponsor, go to meetings, anything like that. We're providing the transportation for that.
Commissioner, when it comes to the officers, she mentioned that they're getting tired of seeing the same people over and over again. How do you work against that, or at least get them ready for that? Because doing the same thing, you think you're helping these people, or at least enforcing what's going on, and yet you see the same thing happen over and over again. Is that tough for them?
It is, but around this county here, not only Harrisburg, but surrounding areas, we have dedicated officers, and they love their job. They love helping people. So if we have to go out, and if it's the same person over and over and over, you know, we're going to do what we have to do to save lives, because it's all about trying to save someone's life. This one young man, it's unfortunate for him, but he was ODing every day, 2 and 3 times every day. And my officers, they would respond and they would bring him back. And this last time, he wasn't that fortunate. So, you know, and for a younger officer, it's very wearing on them, you know, and depression sets in and everything else, because, you know, they see so much. You know, now, you know, we're seeing bunches of people ODing together.
Together.
Yes.
Is that what happened in that recent situation, unfortunately? with everybody over 50
Yes.
on that one weekend.
Yes.
Any final word on this topic? But Bobby, go ahead.
Yeah, I do want
Billy.
to say that along the lines of police and having to deal with this over and over again, one of the things that we're doing in our community is implementing a post-overdose response team. So currently we have mental health co-responders going out with the police and helping with those mental health situations. It kind of removes the burden from the police officers, and so they are dealing with those situations instead, and that's what we'd like to do with the substance use disorder. We want to have co-responders go out with the police to alleviate that burden and be that connection for them to get into treatment following an overdose or an incident.
Hopefully changing that vicious cycle, instead of just back out, do it again. All right, thank you very much. We've talked about these numbers for a while, but behind each of these deaths is a person and a family that's being impacted. So we'll see how one Cumberland County family is dealing with this. A woman lost her daughter to an overdose and now trying to help others cope as well.
This is a CBS 21 News special town hall. Addicted America, sponsored by CTC Comprehensive Treatment Centers.
And welcome back to our Addicted America Town Hall. While Pennsylvanians have died from the opioid epidemic, there is a face attached to each number and a family feeling all that pain and loss. CBS 21's Michael Gorsinger takes us on the journey of a local mother who lost her daughter to addiction and the way she's trying to make sure her death isn't in vain.
Full of life with a bright future ahead, but like a growing number of young people, Sarah Mishler losing her battle with addiction.
She just loved life, and she definitely loved people and had a passion to help people, especially those less fortunate.
A year's worth of medical ailments introducing Sarah to pain pills, legal prescription opioids becoming too expensive. To find a cheaper high, the 20-year-old turning to heroin.
I felt sick because at that point I always thought it was homeless people. I just had this picture in my mind that was horrible. And I didn't know how addictive it was.
For the next 4 years, Sarah struggling to kick the habit. In and out of recovery, clean for a while, then using again. In the fall of 2015, a breakthrough. The 25-year-old deciding on her own to enter rehab. A life-changing moment that never happened.
3 days out from heading into this place, she got out somewhere and got a pill, one pill. And she thought it was a Xanax. And she snorted it that night and died instantly.
After burying a child, Lori Mishler decided something needed to change. So many children in need of help, and there are plenty of options for those in the throes of addiction. But for the families left behind, not too many choices. Enter Sarah's House of Hope.
Our goal is to help the family because addiction is a family disease, and we focus on the person in addiction and the family gets left behind. So we're focusing on the family part of it.
Inside the walls of Sarah's House of Hope, parents, grandparents, and siblings, the focus of group therapy sessions. A tight-knit community bonding around the struggles of their loved ones with no judgment.
Stop. Stop being ashamed of your child. Stop being ashamed of the disease. I'm not ashamed to tell people that my daughter died of an overdose. She had a problem. She had a disease, and she lost her battle. Everybody who walks in the door gets a frame, and it takes a lot of them a long time to get that frame up.
One way to keep the person's memory alive, a wall of remembrance prominently displayed inside the center. Families placing pictures on the wall in an effort to never forget.
I want to remember the good times. And I think when they finally put their photo up there, they're starting to remember the good times.
Good times with good people suffering from a dreadful disease. And now as families try to move forward from the unimaginable, Lori Mishler hopes they remember one simple thing.
You are not alone. That's what I tell people. You are not alone in this journey.
In Cumberland County, Michael Gorsegner, CBS 21 News.
Great story there. Thank you, Michael. You are not alone. That's the message. That's part of what we're talking about here as well. And we want to get more into that. We've talked about dealing with folks that are trying to get through this. How about the families left behind? I want to talk to Billy Barton with York Adams Drug and Alcohol Commission for that. What kind of resources are available for a family like that?
We don't always get engaged with the families in our office itself. However, we do have people who answer our phones, and if loved ones call and ask for help for themselves or for their loved ones, we make sure to give them resources where they can go to get help for themselves and their loved one. Our providers provide counseling services. We make referrals to any kind of counseling services they might need. Our agency does pay for family-based services, so if an individual would be interested in having their family be involved in their treatment process, we'll fund for that.
Got to be one of the hardest things police do, and they do so many hard things. How do you prepare police, or even yourself, when you have to go and tell someone, a family, it is your family member who's been lost to something like a drug overdose?
That is something, that is real hard to do these days because we're doing it so often. It's a sad situation. We go there and we speak in plain English. We don't cut any corners, and we're very open and honest with them because the people that we're talking to, they know that their family member has a drug problem.
Yeah.
And so, we just break it to them as softly as possible, or the coroner will.
Yeah.
A lot of times when this happens, the family is also there on the scene, and so we will talk to them.
Maybe
there.
they even called it in.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And so what we do, we encourage them as much as we possibly can, and then, we let them know, that there is help for them if they need counseling and anything else that we can help them with.
In that story, Mary, you heard them say it was one pill. How do you get that across any more clearly than they just did? One pill,
Right.
and that could be it.
It's Russian roulette. When you're getting substances off the street, you really don't know what you're getting. So potency from one pill varies to the next. They're doing a lot of compounding and pressing of pills. So people really don't know what they're doing when they take it, which is very scary.
When it comes to treatment, how do you incorporate the family, some of the support systems? How important can that be?
Extremely important. Family are usually the ones that, are their last ditch effort. Everybody else has probably given up, or they've burned a lot of bridges. So when they do have family that is left and willing to help, could be something where they're driving them to treatment or watching their kids for them, giving them somewhere to live while they get their self together.
Commissioner, I want to come back to you on that one pill idea. For someone who does make it through, maybe it's Narcan or something, saves their life. When you talk to them, are they sometimes surprised of what happened, or have you seen some of that happen as well, where once again, the potency is the difference nowadays?
Well, usually when, if we're lucky enough to help them out, Narcan them, and they come back, and we hold conversation and they tell us that it was just the one pill, then our conversation is, well, why did you do it? They're looking for their next best high. They got to have that next best high. They just want something stronger than the last time. And what we do is that we can offer them a soft handoff. We can call resources over here, or we can call the medical field over here. But we can only offer them so much.
The easy way, if it possibly existed, would be to get the drugs off the street. We know that is not easier. It would have been done by now. What are some things that you guys are trying to do to make that happen, or at least reduce the number? Because we know a lot of that is coming in from other places, and then it ends up here, and you guys have to deal with it.
Yes, we're working with the state and the federal governments right now. We have task force out there. We're trying to stop the influx of drugs coming in, but we have so many borders around here. They just constantly come in. People will find a way. There's a lot of money made at the top.
Sure.
And so until we can stop that, until we can put a dent in that money coming in, we're going to always have the problems with the cartels, sending drugs over here.
Yeah, we heard the politicians talking about that at the beginning of the show. Whether it's the southern border, the politics come into play there, but we do know that there's more of these deadly drugs out there than there was before. When it comes to you, Billy, what would you like to see now if we gave you the magic wand, and it's a green wand because you're able to make money fall out of it? What could really help you guys when it comes to more money, when it comes to resources and things you could do with that? What could be used?
I answered this a little differently before, but I have another idea.
Okay.
So I would want to train more people who have been in recovery themselves, such as certified recovery specialists, so that we can get those individuals connected to somebody who's already been through what they've been going through. And I think that's the best way to help individuals, to see somebody who's actually gone through it, overcome it, and get healthy again and have a life. And I don't think that we have enough CRS services. I don't think we have enough training. I think more funds for that would be very beneficial.
Right, but getting those success stories in front of the other people could be the best way to them see it's doable. They did it, maybe I can do it. And when they have a relapse or something comes down before they come back up, they've literally seen that. You think that could help as well, Mary?
Absolutely. I think people realizing that it is possible to recover, that sense of hopelessness that people have when they come into treatment, that they really don't think it's ever going to change for them. So yeah, having that example or someone that can show them how to do it would be extremely
We know part of that process never ends, but when you're talking about recovery, give us a feel for how long a treatment program may be. Like it might seem overwhelming to some people, but what's a real time span that's realistic?
Well, for our facilities, we're a maintenance program, so that's usually a minimum of 1 year, but truly that's up to the individual. We don't set a time frame for them, so they come in, they set their goals, and we assist them in that process.
Good to hear that there's something there and there's the possibility of that working well. Hey, last word. If you want people to come away with something from this today, we have a lot of information out here. Commissioner, what would you want them to think about?
I want what those people to think about is a constant struggle. If you're on drugs or if you started drugs, if you ever used drugs, it's a constant struggle. It's a day-to-day struggle. And the only way to win the struggle is to surround yourself with positive people who want to see you do better. Stay away from the street corners, stay away from the dealers, because you have family members that love you, you have people that want to see you do well. So I would say to them, it's a constant struggle, but you are loved and you mean something to a lot of people out there.
I think we'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for all of you. And if those are the words we can remember, you've seen literally here, there are people there that want to help you. There are success stories that have worked before. And of course, we want to make things a little bit easier for our police out there that are dealing with this on the front lines as well. So thank you to all of our guests right here. Once again, thank you for joining us here on this Addicted America Town Hall. Once again, our great panel here, Audrey Gladfelter, Commissioner Thomas Carter, Mary Barker. Thank you very much, Billy Barton. So great stuff here, folks. You have a great night and be safe.
Thank you for watching the CBS 21 News Special Town Hall, Addicted America, sponsored by CTC Comprehensive Treatment Centers.